Most sports bettors wait until Sunday morning to place all of their NFL bets for the week, and that is not what you want to do. Typically, the best plays with the highest profit margin are early in the week. The sharpest, most profitable sports bettors are typically betting on NFL games for Sunday on, Tuesday, Monday, Wednesday, stuff like that. So the purpose of this video is to explain to you and also try to convince you why you should be placing NFL bets early in the week before Sunday. This is really going to help you increase your profits. And also, I'm going to give you examples of bets. I'm recording this video on Wednesday night that I have already placed for Sunday of week 5. I already have approximately $10,000 bet. It's only Wednesday night. And I've been doing this the entire season so far. I'm already up over $43,000. You can get some super big edges when you're betting early in the week. So the first play that I gave out and was able to get on was the Texans as underdogs at plus 155. I gave this out on a live stream. Basically, all my plays are given out 100% for free on either Twitter or on Twitch live stream. But basically, this book, Hard Rock, was stale. All the other books had ripped the Texans down to plus 110, plus 120, because news was coming out, as you can see here, that Lamar Jackson may not play. So you can see a line movement chart on the Texans from OddsJam, and lines are just absolutely ripping towards the Texans, and they're now favored. Every single sportsbook has them favored. So if you go to bet on the Texans on Sunday morning, you're probably going to be getting them at minus 120, minus 110. Obviously, if Lamar Jackson comes back and plays, I'm not sure of his current injury status, then you may be able to get plus money or something like plus 155. But long story short, betting early in the week, I was able to get a play at plus 155 that is now best offered on Sportsbooks at around minus 115. Similarly, I was also able to get the under in the game. So I was able to get the under 43.5 points at minus 137 odds on a sportsbook I use called Rebet. So basically, with Lamar Jackson probably being out, the money line isn't the only thing that's impacted. The total is impacted, right? If the Ravens have some scrub at quarterback, they're probably not going to score as many points, so the total needs to move lower. So I was able to get the under 43.5 points at minus 137, and I found this play on the new OddsJam crossed market betting tool. So basically, this was an arbitrage opportunity. Novig, which is a very sharp betting exchange, had the over 43.5 at plus 139 and FanDuel at plus 140. So this was an arbitrage opportunity. So all sportsbooks set their own unique odds, and arbitrage is very simple. It's when two sportsbooks, right, in this case either FanDuel and Rebet or Novig and Rebet, when two books are so out of sync that you can bet the over on one book, in this case FanDuel or Novig, the under on a different book, in this case Rebet, and you can guarantee a risk-free profit, right? So that's arbitrage betting. So basically, what I could have done is gone over to FanDuel, bet the over at plus 140, and made about $7 in risk-free profit, but I decided not to do that. So the thing is, and I have a full tutorial on cross-market EV betting here on YouTube. This is the main strategy I use. In my opinion, it's the most profitable sports betting strategy. But basically, whenever arbitrage exists, right, if you can place two bets on two different books and make a risk-free profit, one of those two bets has to be profitable, right? Like, you can't have the ability to place a bet on the over on FanDuel, the under on Rebet, and make a risk-free profit if neither bet is profitable. So one of the two bets has to be plus EV or profitable. And in this case, it was pretty clear the values on Rebet. They're stale to this Lamar Jackson news, and the bet with an edge, or the mathematically profitable bet, if you don't just want to arbitrage bet it and make a risk-free profit, is the Rebet side of the arbitrage opportunity. So that's what I ended up locking in. The Ravens game wasn't the only game with injury news, so I'm not sure if this video is going to be out in time for Thursday Night Football, but Brock Purdy is not playing. Okay, so that was announced, and obviously everything needs to move. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get Rams money line. Lines have been ripping towards the Rams. I wasn't able to pick off a sports book or hit them, bet on them before they updated the odds. Most of these books locked markets. but I was able to get the 49ers team total under 21.5 points at -130 off the odds jam crossed market tool. If you look on FanDuel now, they have the line at 17.5 for the 49ers with the under favored. So some really big line movement that I was just able to pick off on FanDuel before they updated to the Purdy news. So this was another crossed market. Novig, again, it's the main strategy I use. Novig, a super sharp book, had the 49ers team total over 21.5 at +132. FanDuel had the under at -130. So that's an arbitrage opportunity. One of the two plays has to be profitable, and Novig is an extremely sharp book. Okay, it's a peer-to-peer betting exchange that has no betting limits, it has no max betting limits. But I want to be clear, peer-to-peer, right? It doesn't mean you're betting against your neighbor. Typically, the people setting lines, offering liquidity on these peer-to-peer exchanges, because there's no limits, typically it's trading firms. Right? It's trading firms, it's hedge funds, it's betting syndicates. It's very smart people, right? It is very informed flow. So Novig and ProfitX are very hard platforms to beat on EV betting because, again, even though it's peer-to-peer, you're usually trading against really sophisticated hedge funds and trading firms. So long story short, if you kind of looked at the market and knowing the Brock Purdy news, it was very clear the value was on the under on FanDuel at -130, so I locked that in. Again, I highly recommend using the odds jam crossed market tool. Again, what's really nice about it is whenever there's an arbitrage opportunity, you have 100% confidence that one of the two bets is profitable. All you have to do is figure out which bet is profitable in the arbitrage opportunity. And in this case, Novig had a lot of liquidity. It was a very active betting market. Higher liquidity on Novig indicates higher sharpness, more accuracy in the lines. So there was a lot of liquidity on the over at +132, so it was really clear the value was on the under at -130. So throughout the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, once books have already posted NFL lines, I'm looking for these early line discrepancies. I'm looking to pick books off to injury news. Typically, the line movement and the really good betting opportunities happen earlier in the week. But what I want to do is just run you through a bunch of other, plays that I've locked in already for NFL Week 5. Kind of try to keep it short. I'll try to keep this video short. Give you some of the logic. Why did I place this bet? Why do I think it's plus EV, sharp, profitable, all that good stuff. But I did want to mention, please let me know any questions. I'm happy to answer. And also just let me know other video ideas you have for me. Like, I love making sports betting content, so if there's something you're really confused about or a sportsbook you really want to learn about, whatever, comment it below because I'm always looking to make the best sports betting content. Maybe I don't always do the best content, but that's my goal. So as a sports bettor, by the time you get to Sunday and the start of the games, you want to have as many profitable bets where you're beating the closing line, as many plus EV bets locked in as possible. It's not uncommon for me to have hundreds of bets open by the time we get to Sunday. Every bet has a small mathematical advantage, an edge, and of course not every bet's gonna win. Whoever says, oh, I have 5 locks, they're full of crap. Not every bet's gonna win, but if every bet has an edge, then I know due to the law of large numbers over a large sample size of bets, I'm gonna make money. So I really treat my NFL betting like when I was a quant trader. When I was a quant trader working on Wall Street, my algorithms would make tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of trades every single day. Every trade has a small edge, a mathematical advantage. And obviously you still have down days, whatever, but over the course of the long run, you know you're gonna make money if you have an edge. So as a sports bettor, placing more bets is better. It's kind of like if you're the best poker player in the world, you go to a table. If you're the best player, you know you have an edge over everybody else. You don't just play one hand and then leave, right? Sometimes you're gonna get crappy cards. You're gonna get 2-7 and you're gonna lose money. Same thing as a sports bettor. You're gonna have bad beats. That's part of the game. But let's get into some other bets I have. However, I did want to mention, if you use Odds Jam, set up alerts on the arbitrage tool, on the positive EV tool, because throughout the week, as players get injured, right? As lineup news comes out, as weather changes, you're gonna see profitable bets popping up. And obviously you don't wanna miss out on the best opportunities, like being able to get the Texans money line at plus 155 when they're now minus 110, minus 120 on basically every sports book. But in terms of other bets I have, here's an example, or just a play I locked in on Better Picks, which is Jake Paul's DFS app, an early value better slip. Another play that was crazy good is I was able to get Rico to score a touchdown at plus 275 on Rebet. You can actually see Rebet, I bet like $114. They're already giving me a positive cash out. This happens all the time with my bets, right? If I catch a sportsbook slipping up, I lock in a bet with an edge. You know, a couple hours later, a day later, the sportsbook will give me a positive cash out. I typically don't cash out. Cash outs are negative EV. But I was able to get Rico at plus 275 to score a touchdown on no vig. There was so much liquidity on him to not score a touchdown at minus 268. So this was a crossed market right off the odds jam, sharp money tool. This was an arbitrage play. You could bet on him to score on Rebet, him to not score on Novig, guarantee a profit. One of the two bets has to be plus EV or profitable. Novig is an extremely sharp betting exchange. 25K in liquidity means it's almost certainly a trading firm, a syndicate, somebody really smart. Some other plays I've locked in are Brock Bowers, 6+ receptions. Another play off the odds jam cross market tool. I got his over at plus 115. His under was minus 115. The market really seems to like Brock Bowers this week because I'm not only on his over in receptions, but also his over in receiving yards. Then I also have Bryce Young's under 218 half passing yards in an underdog fantasy slip. So I've done tutorials on underdog. You can see one here, we'll link to it. But basically when you go through the math behind underdog, they're giving you minus 116 odds for a 6-pick entry. On ProfitX, you can see they had the over. They had Bryce Young's over at plus 119, so that's a crossed market, clear value. You can use crossed markets, long story short, not only on sportsbooks, but also on DFS sites. If ProfitX has the over at plus 119, you know the under is the more likely outcome. And Underdog Fantasy is a fixed payout sportsbook. Like Prize Picks, you take the over or under for Bryce Young, you're getting the same payout regardless, right? Like these are fixed payout sports books, and that means if you take a player to go over or under, you get the same payout. So comparing underdog Prize Picks lines directly to sports books, betting exchanges, looking for crossed markets is by far the best way to get an edge. And again, you can do that with the new odds jam sharp money tool or liquidity tool. But now let's get into some mainline markets because I have a ton of money, probably like $4,000 out of my $10,000 already bet on the Patriots. I'm on their money line, I'm on their spread, high liquidity, crossed markets. You can see some of the screenshots here. I have the money line, I have a variety of different point spreads where FanDuel was just super crossed with Novig, and Novig, a super sharp betting exchange, had a ton of liquidity. So I'm all over the Patriots on the spread, plus 6.5, 7.5, 8.5 money line for this weekend. Super sharp bets, crossed markets where one of the bets has to be profitable, and Novig, peer-to-peer betting exchange, was super liquid. So I was able to get some amazing value on the Patriots, as well as the Saints plus 1.5 on Rebet. Then I'm also on the Titans spread, as well as Jets money line. So long story short, beating the closing line, looking for value early in the week is really gonna help you take your NFL betting profits to the next level. So I definitely recommend doing it, but comment any questions, other video ideas, and I appreciate you guys giving this a watch. So hopefully you learned something valuable, and yeah, thanks so much for your time, guys.